Let review new curriculum, English Majorship, Part 1.1, 50 actual Let questions. This is JM Pedagogical Blog Review. Disclaimer, no copyright infringement intended for educational purposes only. Direction, you may get a piece of paper and a pen to answer. A 20-second timer is allotted for each question. Make sure to answer all the questions honestly, and do not hesitate to finish this video, for you are the next licensed professional teacher. Okay, let's get started. These lines are from The Merchant of Venice by William Shakespeare. The phrase, "all that glitters is not gold," is a famous line from this play, specifically from Act 2, Scene 7. Capitalization and punctuation rules are part of the syntactic system, which deals with the structure of sentences and the arrangement of words and phrases to create well-formed sentences in a language. Ezra Pound's poetry is best described as Imagist. He was a seminal figure in the Imagist movement, which emphasized clarity, precision, and vivid imagery in poetry. The play is known for its humorous portrayal of a character who returns to her hometown of Tondo after living in New York and adopts exaggerated behaviors and attitudes that clash comically with her old friends and family. This creates a series of ridiculous and humorous situations that drive the comedy of the play. When Donne says, "Why swellest thou then?" he's basically asking, why do you grow so proud? It's a challenge to death, questioning its arrogance and its place in the grand scheme of things. He's suggesting that death has no reason to be so proud because, ultimately, it holds no real power. Donne's poetry can get pretty philosophical. In Walt Whitman's poem, "O Captain, My Captain," the captain symbolizes Abraham Lincoln. Whitman composed this elegy to express his sorrow over Lincoln's death, whom he greatly respected. The poem employs the metaphor of a ship to depict the United States, with Lincoln as its captain, steering the nation through the challenging times of the Civil War. John Milton's Paradise Lost is centered on the story of Adam and Eve's sin. The epic poem tells the biblical tale of how Satan tempted Adam and Eve, leading to their fall and expulsion from the Garden of Eden. The most appropriate choice is Medals Valor. This option fits well because medals are commonly awarded to soldiers as a recognition of their bravery and valor. Just as negligent is to requirement, remiss is to duty. Being negligent about a requirement and being remiss about a duty both signify a failure to fulfill an obligation. The best description of the reading and writing processes is the different stages merge and repeat. Reading and writing are interconnected and often involve overlapping stages such as research, invention, revision, and editing. These processes are non-linear, meaning they do not follow a strict sequence but rather merge and repeat as needed. The advantage that television has over print media is its ability to show motion. Television combines moving images with sound, creating a dynamic and engaging experience that print media cannot offer. In Paradiso, they have neither boodles nor images but simply lights, and in Purgatorio they have corporeal shape but not corporeal substance, and Inferno, they become more corporeal as Dante descends into the lower circles. This describes the evolving nature of the figures Dante encounters, from the ethereal lights in heaven, to the shadow-like forms in purgatory, to the increasingly tangible forms in hell. From Alvaro's poem, it uses rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is asked to make a point rather than to elicit an answer, and in this case, it emphasizes the irresistible nature of the wine. Learning in content essentially refers to teaching students in a way that integrates learning into real-life contexts, showing how ideas and skills are applicable and relevant to their life. Proficiency exams are designed to assess a person's ability to use a language in real-world situations and are often required for visas, jobs, or academic purposes to ensure that the individual's language skills meet specific standards. The type of poetry that places the greatest emphasis on rural life through its themes and narratives is pastoral poetry. This genre idealizes the countryside, often portraying shepherds and rustic settings in a romanticized way. It highlights the simplicity, peace, and beauty of rural life, contrasting it with the complexity and corruption of urban environments. Scientific writing uses the passive voice more than the active voice is a myth. This statement is incorrect. It is indeed true that scientific writing often uses the passive voice. The passive voice is typically used to ensure objectivity and to emphasize the research itself rather than the person conducting it. Mrs. Elizabeth is testing the students' sequencing skills by asking them to arrange the events in the correct order. She is assessing their ability to understand and recall the sequence of events in the story. In Macbeth, the main character's downfall is primarily due to his overwhelming ambition for power. Macbeth's intense desire to become king drives him to commit murder and other terrible acts, ultimately leading to his destruction, while supernatural elements and external influences, such as the witch's prophecies and Lady Macbeth's manipulation, play significant roles. It is ultimately Macbeth's own ambition that causes his tragic end. Discourse analysis involves studying language use beyond individual sentences, while genre analysis focuses on identifying the structural patterns that differentiate various types of texts. Blocking is the term for the planned positioning and movements of actors on stage. It includes detailed instructions on where actors should stand, move, and interact with each other and the set during a performance. The figure of speech exemplified in the sentence, "The wind stood up and gave a shout, he whistled on his 2 fingers," is personification. This is because the wind is given human characteristics, such as standing up, shouting, and whistling, which are actions typically associated with people. The correct answer is caught up because it fits the context of the sentence both grammatically and logically. Here's why. Caught up is the past tense of catch up, which means to reach someone or something that is ahead of you. In this context, Liam needed to reach the bus that was ahead of him. The sentence describes a past event where Liam was trying to avoid being late. Therefore, the past tense caught up is appropriate to indicate that he successfully reached the bus. Close test. This involves a passage with certain words removed, and the task is to fill in the blanks with the appropriate words, often focusing on specific parts of speech like nouns, verbs, or adjectives. This type of test assesses a student's understanding of context and vocabulary. Powerful rulers and great civilizations perish. The poem reflects on the inevitable decline of all leaders and empires, no matter how mighty they once were. The ruined statue of Ozymandias in the desert symbolizes the transient nature of power and the futility of human pride. In traditional commedia, which are often based on historical and religious narratives, the storyline typically culminates with the triumph of Christian heroes. These plays were not just entertainment but also a means of reinforcing cultural and religious values. Free verse poetry emphasizes the practice of not adhering to any specific verse length or rhyming pattern. It mimics the natural rhythms of speech, allowing poets the freedom to experiment with language and form. The American president who said, "Ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man," was John F. Kennedy. This famous quote is from his inaugural address on January 20, 1961. Context of the sentence. The sentence describes an event that has already happened. The use of quickly suggests that the action was completed in the past. Responded is simple past tense, which matches the context of the sentence, referring to an action that occurred in the past. The volunteers responded quickly and extinguished a fire narrates a completed event. The phrase coined by William Wordsworth that refers to the act of foregoing reason and logic for the sake of enjoying fictional prose and stories in literature is willing suspension of disbelief. This concept involves readers or audiences accepting the implausible or fantastical elements of a story in order to fully engage with and enjoy the narrative. Filipino, like many other languages, has a different system for expressing time and aspect compared to English. This difference can make it challenging for Filipino speakers to learn and use English tenses correctly. While English has a complex system of tenses to indicate various times and aspects, Filipino uses a different approach, often relying more on context and aspect rather than strict tense forms. Tagaytay is the destination for us who love nature. It is a place which can be easily reached by a 2-hour drive from Makati City. It provides an ideal picnic ground for outdoor lovers. Unfortunately, the place ends up abused by outdoor lovers who litter the place. This arrangement introduces Tagaytay, explains its accessibility, highlights its features, and then addresses the issue of littering. In Don Quixote, the protagonist embarks on his adventures with the noble aim of defending the helpless and correcting injustices, inspired by the chivalric ideals he has read about in his beloved books of knights and heroes. Antagonists drive the plot by presenting challenges and obstacles that the protagonist must overcome. Their actions and motivations often highlight the strengths and weaknesses of the protagonist, adding depth to the story. When language learners try out rules they've learned with a competent speaker, they are essentially testing their hypotheses about how the language works. This trial and error approach helps them refine their understanding and usage of the language. Ofelia Alcantara de Malanta was a highly respected Filipino poet, author, and academician, known for her profound and evocative works. Her contributions to Philippine literature have left a lasting legacy. Edith Tiempo, a national artist for literature in the Philippines, is known for her love sonnets and other poetic works. Her poetry often explores themes of love, nature, and the human experience, showcasing her mastery of language and form. Mark Twain's novels The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn are set along the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River plays a crucial role in both stories, serving as a backdrop for the adventures and experiences of the characters. The Elizabethan age, 1558 to 1603, is often called the Golden Age of English literature. This era, known as the Elizabethan age, was marked by a flourishing of English literature, particularly in drama and poetry. It saw the works of great writers such as William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and Edmund Spenser. Parents worry that the short and abbreviations used in text messaging might negatively impact their children's spelling skills. Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. This classic tale involves Sir Gawain accepting a challenge from the enigmatic Green Knight, leading to a series of tests and adventures that highlight themes of chivalry, honor, and courage. Functionalism focuses on the use of language in real-life situations and emphasizes communication and interaction. This approach has led to methods that encourage learners to engage in meaningful communication, such as information sharing, negotiation of meaning, and interaction, which are key components of learner-centered activities. Allophones are the different realizations of a single phoneme depending on its context within words, so the t sounds in top, stop, and pot are all allophones of the t phoneme, showing how it varies systematically. Pulchritude comes from the Latin word pulchritudo, meaning beauty. It refers to physical attractiveness, often of an exceptional level. Venus, the Roman goddess of love and beauty, embodies this concept perfectly, representing the pinnacle of feminine beauty in mythology. An oxymoron is a figure of speech that combines two contradictory terms. It's used to create a dramatic effect, often highlighting a complex truth or provoking thought. In the quote, living deaths, dear wounds, fair storms, and freezing fires, each phrase pairs opposites to evoke strong imagery and emotion. For example, freezing fires suggests a paradox where fire, typically hot, is described as cold, creating a powerful and conflicting image. The laborious are so happy that they are now reaping the fruit of their efforts. They are is a contraction of they are, which fits the context of the sentence. There is a possessive pronoun, indicating that the efforts belong to the laborious. How many correct answers did you get from this review? You may share it on the comment box. I hope you got a passing score of 38 and you learn as well. Good luck LPT cuties, claim it. Thank you for watching and to your dedication. The next video will appear on screen. Click it to watch, or you may choose the playlist for more related videos.